First off, all right, the AMA. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to do this in our last stream. So a while back, I got a bunch of folks to submit questions for an AMA. I finally compiled all of them. Thank you to everybody who actually commented on that community post. I appreciate you folks. And I guess after a while, if you folks have questions in the chat, I'll see if I can take a couple of those. So first question, yikes. Restricted list predictions. If you're asking me about, I guess I'll just answer for the environment that I play in. I can't really give a lot of, credence is the right word, I can't give a lot of experience from the English version of the game because I just don't play over there. And things are a little bit different. But if you were to ask me to restrict cards or if I would update the restricted list right now, honestly, I don't think I would. And it's just a byproduct of if Shoto Kazama, I need to change my pronunciation for that, Shoto Kazama works the way he does, it's kind of problematic for Magnamon. And even though Mother D Reaper is kind of problematic, a 15k DB blocker that can't attack and so can't win you games in that respect and is unaffected by effects, is it really that scary? I might argue no, because the decks that had to be able to get over 15k and before, so if they can't get over 15k now, it feels like we've taken a step back and regressed. Maybe not. If you did put a gun to my head though and said I had to restrict something, it'd probably be Messenger of Hope. Probably Messenger of Hope. Just Messenger of Hope. That card is really wild. I think that they maybe missed the mark on that one, considering they restricted Hidden Potential Discovered, which is like -5 on costs. And Messenger of Hope essentially does the same thing if you're going from like a Patamon to a Rapidmon, right? You get the +1 memory, plus it's like a 4-cost evolve for free. And then if you have a TK team, and then you just get memory back, and plus more card draw for the Tokomon. So there's just a lot happening with that mechanic. I don't know if I would still hit Patamon now. I think maybe he's okay, but it's probably just a problem I'm kicking down the road, because at some point it's going to be kind of wild where you can just evolve into vaccines that do crazy stuff, especially because now we're getting level 4s that are SRs, so oh boy. Just a matter of time, I assume. Let's see. I'll take one from chat. Do you think, oh, this is a good one. Do you think the colors are equally balanced? I would say for the most part, yes, with the exception of red. It seems that in the past few sets, there's been a lot of ways to like sidestep or like skirt like raw destruction. So raw deletion effects are like the lowest form of removal in the game. And red doesn't really have a way to get rid of stuff outside of that. The other option they have is raid. And raid is great because you can just redirect your attack into their biggest thing on board. And because red typically pumps numbers, it's fine because they can usually get over. The issue is many things have the ability to leave something behind when they're destroyed, even if they're like destroyed by battle. So you take something like Magnamon X, for example, you punch him and then he just pops off the top and, you know, Armor Purge, and there's still a stack there left. And if it's like a Rapidmon, then, well, you got to do it again. And there are some Digimon that can unsuspend after having their attack target redirected. But the way you get around this is you just go straight forward with your Magnamon X and just make sure it's rested. Because then if they don't have their attack target redirected, they can't make a second swing. So that gives you all the time in the world to just build up your stack again to go back into your another Magnamon, essentially, or Rapidmon X, right? So red right now, I think, is in a tough spot where they need a way to be able to always hit 2 times with raid. And I think the Kaiser or the Emperor Greymon is I think that the BT18 one does that. I don't remember exactly. So I'm hoping that he solves the problem that red has right now, but I don't know if that will be the case. Because he's like red, blue, and green, so who knows what he could be for at this point. What's the Magna top results? A friend of mine, Javi, he actually got his 3rd Evo Cup win with Yellow Vaccine. He's been complaining about Mother D Reaper and Shoto Kazama these past week or so since EX7's release, but despite all that, I mean, he's still able to get wins, so Yellow Vaccine's still strong. Blue Vaccine, oh sorry, not Blue Vaccine, but Blue Magna is able to get over 15,000 more easily because they have the Vmon effects and also the Magnamon effects. So they can actually punch over Mother D Reaper if necessary multiple times. Yeah, I still think that Yellow Vaccine is the best version of the deck, but it seems that over here in Asia, more people are playing blue. Some folks say that yellow's high rolly, but I mean, if it high rolls, like, you have almost no chance of winning. So yeah, it is what it is. What brought you to Japan? This This is a dumb story. So some folks often ask about like why I'm even here, because I very clearly don't look Japanese, and I'm very clearly not Japanese. So the reason I'm here is because I got out of college, I got my first job on the East Coast in the States. I worked with a team of 4, and we got to essentially build up a department at a university. When we were there, we built it up. And by the time like 3 years had gone by, I essentially had automated myself out of a job. Like we didn't need 4 people because things were running so smoothly. So I was like, well, good as time as any to leave because I'm still young. I just got out of college and I should probably travel. So I didn't want to go anywhere that was like the States. So I was like, all right, well, we go probably Asia because it's like very different from like what I've always lived in or like the culture that I've always lived in. So it's like China, South Korea, or Japan. I read some pretty scary stuff about China, also South Korea, and so Japan was really like the only other option left, and so here I am. Also, at that time, I loved fighting games, and so to be able to, this is like when Street Fighter 4 was like really big in arcades, and not arcades, but just in general. It was really cool to be able to come to Japan and actually play Street Fighter 4 in Japan. That was really big. Goal is not the right word, but like a good selling point that I could play here, and I did. I played a shit ton of Street Fighter 4, and then I played a shit ton of Street Fighter 5, and then I stopped playing Street Fighter 5 because, and then Street Fighter 6 came out, and yeah, here I am. The whole card game thing happened way later, like 7 years after I'd been in already. So yeah, the reason I'm here is because I automated myself out of a job in America. Did you speak any Japanese before coming to Japan? Hell no. I'll say this, living in Tokyo has the unique advantage that it's a mega city. It's like London or New York, or yeah, any other huge city on the planet, in that it's so big that English is kind of just there, whether they speak the language or not, just because mega cities tend to do lots of business. Language of business is English, and yeah. So I could kind of lean on that a bit, but it's a very much a society where you should learn the language, where 99.98% of people speak the language and are of this culture or this ethnicity. Like, yeah, if you don't, then you're kind of cooked. But I very quickly like learned that, and I grinded. So I'm very much a grinder. I have like these notebooks like full of like Japanese study, and so I'm very much a grinder. Flashcard apps plus like notebooks, and I would just sit down when I first got here for like the first like few years. I'd like take almost like a day, like when I had a day off, and just go to like a Starbucks or a cafe, sit down and just grind like tons and tons of like practicing. That's basically it. If I didn't know something, I would just ask the person sitting next to me. People are typically pretty nice, and so I could just ask almost anyone. It's like, hey, I'm learning Japanese. Does this mean this? Or is this correct? I'd like write something in Japanese and ask him, right? So also being able to have the language in your ear constantly every single day is such a huge boon. If you're trying to learn a language, immersing yourself in it is one of the easiest ways to learn it. That being said, my Japanese is still not great. Like very basic, everyday language, like complicated shit I can't do, but like basic, like yeah, everyday language I can hold my own. Now let's see here. What do you do outside of YouTube? That's a great question, because honestly, when I think about it, I work as a software developer in Japan. I taught myself how to program from like, I was always interested and I learned a little bit in college. I always just kind of like, I guess like the trend is like, I always just kind of like did it in my free time. And so I grinded on like when I was here, before I got my first software job in Japan, I just grinded on the train every day. I'm a grinder, I mean that. Like I would sit down, I bought myself this really shitty laptop. I would tether my phone's Wi-Fi to the laptop. I paid like $5 a month, and like my phone got tethering, and so I tethered my phone to the computer, and I just like grinded programming. And I did that for, like I said, like 3 years. Just on like, cause I was on the train for work, like, cause to get in, I got an English teaching job, but you very quickly realize it's a dead end job, and so I would like, I was on the train going to like clients like for 3 hours a day, and so I just, well, gotta use this time for something, and here we are, yeah. Do I still play fighting games? Yeah, I do. So I've been playing Street Fighter 6 a lot more recently. I didn't play so much last year, but this year I made it one of my goals to get back into fighting games more heavily, and so yeah, that's what I've been doing. Been playing a lot of Akuma. Akuma's a very fun, very cheap-ass character. I played Manon before that, and then Juri, because sometimes I kind of want to win. That James Wisdom, yeah, conversational is probably the best way to put it. What do I think about M. Bison trailer for Street Fighter 6? Kind of cool. I don't like the string hair. I like his entrance is like him like riding on the horse, but he's like this. It kind of reminds me of like a Hokuto no Ken character, where they just do wild ass shit with horses. I think what's really funny about that character is they have like the running animation of like when he does Drive Rush, and he sprints like he like Forrest Gump runs across the screen. It's amazing. It's so good. Watch my man's hit that sprint though. This is like the show, like the video they had of showing off like what Bison can do. Check this out. Watch my man running, yo. Think of my man Bison doing suicides from across the screen, beating a sonic boom. That's crazy. Where was it? There it is. Okay. I guess outside of that, I do boxing with my wife. I started rock climbing recently, which is painful, to say the least. And yeah, I run. I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm pretty good. Yeah. I like to cook, so I actually went to school to be a chef initially. So I have quite a bit of cooking knowledge, but I didn't graduate with a cooking degree. I actually graduated with a business degree. And yeah, whenever my friends and I go out for like barbecues and stuff, I'm the chef. Like I came late last time, and they were like, "Hey, bro, get to the grill. You know your place." So like, I don't know if I should be offended or if I should be like flattered. Thoughts to record locals and add commentary on top. This is something that I would love to do. I'd love to go to like a Digimon locals and record the games and then like add commentary on top of that. But this is like the barrier to this is not anything you'd imagine. It's not like the equipment or anything like that. I could do all that, no problem. The issue is the culture. There's not a big culture around like filming, I guess, Digimon stuff, events in general. Most people just get together, play games, go home. Also, Japanese culture, filming anything is like kind of weird. Most actual card shops don't even allow you to take pictures inside. So even like flashing a camera, you'll get like talked to. So that's why you probably haven't really seen folks like recording arcades or things like that, because it's like just forbidden. There's a really big like culture in Japan around your personal, how to explain this? It feels like in the West, when you go out, like there's like a social contract that says if someone's recording, whatever. In Japan, it's like not that way. Your personal or your privacy is still protected in public, if that makes sense. You can't just sit there and record somebody in public. It's like incredibly rude, and you'll get like a lot of trouble. I mean, people like say shit at you. Yeah, privacy is pretty important in Japan, and so that's why you have like there was this picture of this tourist a couple weeks ago, or this video of this tourist, like there's a geisha like an actual geisha, like her job is geisha, walking I think in like Kyoto, and this European woman like trying to like film her, and the woman is very clearly like trying to get out of the way and like not be filmed, but the woman just like the culture, like the air, couldn't read it, didn't understand anything. She's just like, and it's like the most, I don't know, like cringe ass behavior, but like, yeah, that sort of thing doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen. People's privacy is protected in public here, and so as a result, like even asking to record stuff is kind of awkward in Japan. If I did an event myself, I could do it, because I just let people know beforehand, and also just like, hey, I'm not gonna be recording faces, so it'll just be like the actual game board. I think that's an easier sell. How did you meet Majin Obama? So Obama was a friend of mine who plays Digimon, or used to play Digimon with me a while back. He said he was going to get back into it this summer, but it's June, and I'm still waiting. But I actually met Obama at a random fighting game tournament. I think it was at Arc Revo, like a long time ago. And I didn't know him well, but I'd like seen him on Juna's stream, so I just kind of like said, hey, I introduced myself, and that was that. Like, we didn't really talk. We didn't really like do much at the event. And then later, this is so random. I had a boxing tournament. I was doing a boxing tournament. So there's like, my gym signed me up for a tournament. I would like fight with other amateurs for like 2 rounds. And it wasn't for anything crazy. It's just like an event that they have every so often, like once a season. I'm getting ready for the boxing event. I'm there. I'm like, the ring's right here. I'm like, my coach is right next to me. Members of my gym are behind me. I'm like doing my hand wraps and stuff like that, putting on my headgear. And Obama comes up behind me and taps me on the shoulders like, hey, what are you doing here? And I look back, I'm like, what are you doing here? The funny thing was, I didn't know who my opponent was at the time. I thought it was him. I thought my opponent was actually Obama. But it wasn't. It wasn't at all, thank God. And so yeah, after that, like, I guess we exchanged information, and then like I would just see him at events after that. I guess at that point we became friends. Really, really random, because I didn't know he did boxing at all, and he didn't expect to see me there. I didn't expect to see him there, but yeah, we both happened to be doing it. So yeah, super, super weird, very small world, but yeah, that's how it happens, I suppose. How's Ragnarlord looking, Doc? Prognosis, not good. He's got maybe 3 months to live. I don't know what to tell you, man. Although I will say, if you like Ragnarlord, check out the recent Meta Report video, because he gets showed off a little bit in one of the decks that I talk about there. So there is not all hope lost, but if you're looking for a pure Ragnarlord deck, I think it might be tough. What kind of Digimon would you describe yourself? Oh, sorry, what kind of Digimon player would you describe yourself as? Sorry. Card game player can't read, my bad. Casual, semi-competitive, competitive, or high-level competitive. Let me dispel the notion first of all that if you thought that I was a high-level competitive player, I'm so sorry that I have somehow pulled the wool over your eyes. That is just not the case. I'd probably consider myself semi-competitive. I know as much as I do solely as a byproduct of the community that I'm a part of. The folks in Akihabara are quite competitive, and it's either sink or swim, right? And I'm also a little bit competitive, so I don't like to lose. If I go out and I go to an event, I'm not gonna... There are some times where I will just like try something out if I want to see how it performs, just for, you know, for the knowledge. But most of the time, like, I gotta play something that's kind of sweaty if I want to like be able to compete. So yeah, semi-competitive is probably the best way to put it. I just don't have the time to like really like go all in on like grinding games and sitting down and like really becoming a competitive player at the game. I'm too old at this point. I don't know. There's something about getting older where you're just like, I kind of just want to have fun. You kind of calm down. You don't have anything to prove to anybody, or at least not in this arena. And so I play semi-competitive probably because people around me are competitive. If you sit down across from me and you play, you know, Ragnarlord or I don't know, Nature Spirits or some like not sweaty ass deck, I'm happy to play and do the same thing with you, man. I just want to have fun. Do you think Bandai has too many TCGs out in the market? Yes. I don't know who says no to that question. Who says no? Like Union Arena, they rebooted Dragon Ball, One Piece, our Lord and Savior, thank God. Digimon, it's cool that they can put out so many things, but I think I'm just worried that, you know, funds don't get allocated to, you know, to Digimon where I think that they should be. And maybe I'm biased. Actually, not maybe. I am very clearly biased, right? All the content that I make is essentially Digimon focused, so I'm very biased here. But I think it's a great game, far better than the other ones out there, and I think they should support it more. Yeah, maybe one less game would mean a couple of extra bucks in Digimon's pocket. Yeah, Battle Spirits as well, excuse me, yeah. Well, I can't really talk too much crap on Battle Spirits because Battle Spirits in Japan has been around longer. So in their eyes, Digimon is a problem because they're taking away from the Battle Spirits bucks, you know? Battle Spirit Saga, keep in mind, is English exclusive. Right? Rumor has it that Bandai is going to bring back the Gundam TCG. I guess it's okay. As long as all the games get support, it's cool that Bandai now kind of has this umbrella of games to play. So if you just like Bandai style games as like a hub for all of them, and it seems like their strategy is within like the WCS that I went to last year, or earlier this year, excuse me, they are trying to like make their like card games all under one event, so you kind of go there and you play everything, and it's also like a nice way to do like some cross-pollination. So I think it's a good way if you kind of want to get someone's foot in the door. It's like, hey, I play One Piece, what's Digimon about? I heard it's a completely different game, maybe I should try it out. They also have like, at the events that I've gone to, they've had like tutorial sessions where you can like sit down and just like learn a game. They'll give you like a starter deck or like a practice deck. You can play it as many times as you want and just kind of get the hang of the game. So that's really cool. So I hope that's I guess that's a good point in the multiple games favor, but also I want to make sure that Digimon keeps getting support. Gundam TCG might get me, not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm a if you know where my handle East comes from, then you know that I'm right on board there with you, man. I might be right there with you. As long as Digimon keeps getting support. Let's see here. Seeing regional winners, this is a hard one, wow. Seeing regional winners across the globe, what are your impressions about how USA, Europe, Japan, LATAM, and Oceania go with their deck building and play styles? Oh, shit, man. That is a tough ass question to answer. I don't even know how I would start. I'll say this, as a person who plays in Japan but then sees how the West plays. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I have to lump all of you guys together. I just can't not do that. I'm sorry. I don't really know like the regional differences, but I can say that I enjoy the fact that the West will check Japan for not playing Control. It was kind of a big wake-up call, I think, to a lot of players this year at Worlds, and having Pete win Worlds with Control was kind of like, okay, we very clearly got caught with our pants down, and we have to actually learn the whole game. And I mean, if this week's meta report is any indication, Control is definitely on people's radar, so it's good to see that. But outside of that, I can't really say so much because I just don't know about, you know, how Oceania builds decks. I think the thing that I've seen is that they play a lot of D Brigade, maybe. That could be old. That could be really old info though. It seems like Europe honestly might be like the sweatiest region. That's just my opinion of looking at some of the events over there. I remember Mirage Gagumon went super ham. Also, Red Hybrid went super ham as well when it was top. I'm sorry I couldn't give a better answer there. That's just a hard question. So I hope that what I said there was enough to sate whoever asked it. I'm so sorry. Did you ever think the game would last as long as it has? Follow up, what are the odds you think the game can last another 4 years? Personally, I think that Digimon could have lasted. I could have seen it lasting the first 4 years. I don't think Bandai did though. That's what's really strange to me, because it feels like they had the first 4 years. We got up to, I think, Royal Knights, and I don't know about you folks, but in my eyes, it seemed like after Royal Knights, there was a really big shift in the way the game was designed. And so I feel like they had thought that, okay, after BT13 is probably where we're gonna have the drop off. So we'll end the game there, and then, that move on to something else. One Piece is coming out, put all the money in the One Piece bucks. That wasn't the case. The game is actually still alive and still kicking, which is a good thing in my opinion. It just goes to show like the game has like good appeal, and the memory system, for everybody who I think I've at least introduced to it, loves it. It's a very interesting mechanic, very, very cool. Makes the games really, they can be fast-paced if you want them to be. They can be slow-paced if you want them to be. And that mechanic, I think, is what really separates Digimon and what keeps people here for the game. What are the odds that I think they can last another 4 years? I sure hope they do. I mean, I have no reason to hope that it would fail. I think the one thing I do worry about is IP power. IP power is something that I think is definitely a defining factor of like the sales of a lot of games. It's like one of the, like interesting mechanics is good there. IP power is also really strong or like really important. You take something like One Piece and it's so easy to see why that game's so successful. You take a game like Union Arena, which honestly I thought would not last, but the IP power of like really popular Shonen Jump series has helped to keep the game around. And so you can't ignore that. I worry though that on Digimon's side, we have Digimon Liberator, which is great. I think it's really cool that they like created this entire like brand, well not brand, but I guess IP for Digimon card games only. It's like focused on Digimon card games. But I don't know what happens after that. And so that's the thing that I'm worried about. Like if we think about how Liberator works, or it will work, I want to use Seekers as a template for that. And if Seekers got 3 sets? Or about, what was it? Like, was it a half a year or like 3/4 of a year? My question is, does Digimon last, or does Liberator last that long, or does it go longer than that? Because I don't know what happens after Liberator. Seems like they're trying to pad it out, because we have Liberator, and then BT18 is not Liberator focused at all, it seems. Like it's mostly like a return to hybrids. We're kind of like, at this point, it feels like we're looping back to, at this point we're like at EX7, where BT14 was kind of like the start of the second cycle. So it seems like they're trying to pad out Liberator so that I guess it lasts longer, but I don't know what you do after that. Yeah, I don't know if folks will be excited if we just kind of like loop it back around to kind of all the stuff we did where we went hybrids, and then we had Crossheart, and then after that it was Gumdramon, Arresterdramon, whatever that series was. I don't know it, but whatever that was. We'll see. I hope it lasts another 4 years. I think that the game has the ability to do so. I think the ball is really in Bandai's court. Well, my worry is like at some point they start pruning off their card games. That's where I would get really scared. Because when you have games like One Piece, it's really hard to fight against or justify doing anything other than One Piece because it's so successful. Although I guess One Piece will end in like 3 years, so maybe that will change once the actual manga is over. Seekers lasted 4 sets. I'm sorry, I'm not counting the set that it was introduced in, my bad. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So yeah, if it's 4 sets, then hopefully they can extend Liberator longer. I'd be interested to see it. And I think that's all the questions I got. Whew, we got it. We made it through, y'all. Whew. Congrats. I guess I'll take any last questions from the chat here. Since you guys showed up, I'll give you guys dibs as well. Am I stupid to try and make Chessmon work when the Yellow Liberator starter deck comes out in the West? No, if you like Chessmon, try it out. Again, I'm a guy who, if you guys know who the professor is for Tolarian College, the guy who does Magic the Gathering, he's got a really great phrase that goes, "Don't yuck somebody's yum." And I wholly stand by that. Like, if you like something, I'm not gonna sit here and like trash it. That's not the kind of guy I am. I'm not that much of a turbo sweat. So if you really like Chessmon and Chessmon's getting some support, you go ahead and slam that bad boy right up in there. More Chessmon cards in the Chessmon deck, and I mean, now that they have the new Arisa Tamer to give them rushed, I mean, that's amazing. How successful do you think Bandai will be in having a simultaneous release internationally? Ooh, that's a great question. Internationally, I think there are a couple of hurdles that they have to overcome, and that is getting all the translations right simultaneously, which I think can be a little bit of a daunting task, as well as getting shipping right across the world. In Japan, it's easy because I think that they have like factories here. Elsewhere, I've always heard that like distribution has been a little funky. One great example I think was the most recent English set. BC16 apparently was like delayed by 2 weeks, I think, in the UK. That's a really, really hard sell. If like you're already struggling to make it like this on staggered releases, when you have like a 3 or like 6 month head start, I'm really worried if like things are simultaneous, if you can like meet all of your distribution needs. But maybe they have that figured out. I hope so. If I, the layman, and I'm sure you folks out there as well, know or can see this issue, then I'm sure Bandai is well aware of it as well. So when will Death X get a reprint? Bro, Death X, who cares? Bro, we've got, hold on. Death X? That's your, where's it at? Hold on, I'm gonna find it right now. When is Death X gonna get a reprint? He said, man, bump Death X, man. When is X Antibody Protoform getting a reprint? Holy shit, when is Ruin Mode getting a reprint? Holy crap. Bro. When is Leviamon getting a reprint? Please, Lord, help me. $45 for one copy of X Protoform is insane. I still to this day have one copy of Ruin Mode because they're like $100 a pop. English still hasn't gotten the LM2 Death X mod. Me neither have I, man. It's fine. X Antibody Protoform though? Leviamon though? Come on, cuz. I need my stuff ASAP. Yeah, I think that we're a bit overdue for a reprint set at this point. I could really see that being necessity. Yeah, Death X Mon, I'm not so worried about. I think that he has like a niche use where you can kind of justify getting like 1 or 2 copies of him at best. But like X Antibody Protoform, a bunch of different decks use that card. You need like 2, and you need like 2 per deck too, which is rough. So if you have like 3 different decks, then it is what it is. Also, when are they gonna reprint the token cards that were in the back of packs? I miss that so much. They did it one time, and it was the greatest thing ever, and I stockpiled as many as I could. Red Dawn says, I only got 2? Bro, me too, man. I only got 1 Ruin Mode. I wish I had 2. Having 2 would be a pipe dream. I got a couple final questions here. What are your thoughts on the lack of events in the West? A lot of people complain about limited events for invites. Is it different in Japan in comparison? So here's the one big fact, or I guess one big plus that Japan has over a lot of the West, in that Japan is small, and that means that we have events that are much more highly concentrated. I can open up the TCG Plus app, and once I get it to actually function correctly, I can just like have my pick of the litter for events that I want to join during the week. It's never an issue where I need to like get 2 events. I will say this, for like Evolution Cups and some of the larger events, I don't feel that there's enough of them. I would love if they had a bit more, but outside of that, I'm very satisfied in Japan. In the West, I think it's rough because you folks are just spread out, and if you live in an area where you only have like 1 card shop, then I mean that's what it is. Like right down the street from me, there's like more than 20 card shops, and that's not even a hyperbole. There's like more than 20 card shops in like a 15-minute walk from me. So yeah, I just size matters. In the West, you guys have like way more land masses and way farther to travel, and so yeah, I don't really know what the answer is unless Bandai's into the business of building card shops, and hope that answers your question. It's not a great answer, but it's hard for me to relate. Why is it so important for the rest of the world to catch up to Japan? It's a great question. I think the biggest issue is that Japan realized when they had to finally hit a secret rare card for the first time, because the card was so problematic and it had released in the West, it's like this perfect storm where their bottom line directly got hit. So if you if you hit a secret rare for a set before that set even releases in a region, you can basically expect to make virtually no sales or very low sales. So that's exactly what happened. You know, BT15 came out in the West, and I don't think people really cared. They killed all the Garurumon stuff. They killed Apocalypse, rightly so, honestly. And so after that, like, who wants to buy any of that set at all? Yeah, there's no reason to. And so they're like, okay, how do we prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future? And the answer is very clearly, if everything releases at the same time, everybody gets mad at the one card together, and then after it's already released everywhere, then you can hit it and you've already made your money. I mean, it's dollars and cents. And so I think that's a fantastic reason to catch up to Japan. I think there's no reason not to. Financially, if you don't ever want that situation to happen again, and I'm sure somebody's like neck was on the line for that. If you don't ever want that to happen again, like there's your answer. It is a hard answer because you have to work harder to get everything out at the same time, but you also don't run the risk of like nuking your bottom line for a set. Didn't we already have reprint Death X in the limited pack set? Super expensive though? Maybe. I don't actually remember if he was in the reboot booster. Does anybody else remember? What is a good color to try after learning Red Hybrid and now having a good understanding of the game? Anthony, I actually want to do a series on this about like the different colors and kind of what they do. I've always been a really big Red fan. I love Red. Folks hated Agumon. I didn't mind. I loved Red Hybrid as well. I did pretty well in events. Won a team tournament with Red Hybrid. After learning Red, I think Red's a really straightforward color. I think another maybe straightforward color you can kind of like transition into is probably black, where red is like the more offensive version. I guess straightforward decks, black is the more defensive version. So if you don't hate defense, then I say give black a try. Green could also be really good, just because they focus on like big Digimon on board and just running and like keeping tempo. That's a really good way to go. Yellow and purple are very good. Blue is also very good, but they are a little bit more complicated, with the exception of maybe like Ancient Garurumon. It's like Red Hybrid, but just blue. If we do a worldwide release, will you include worldwide games in your meta reports and things? I don't think I want to do that, because it feels like every time I hear about people trying to find event results for the West, it's like pulling teeth. Like you have to contact tournament organizers, they ghost you, or they say they'll do it and then they don't, and apparently they're really finicky with their results, whereas I feel like Japan's way more open. I don't know why I would want to subject myself to that headache. I had a guy contact me on Discord a while back. He was like, hey, I love like your style of videos that you do for Asia. I'd love to do something for Spain. Can I do that? I'm like, oh, dude, absolutely. Go ahead. I don't own a style of content. Like that's, if anybody wants to do this for whatever reason you live in, feel free. Even if you want to do it for Asia, go ahead. Just make sure you're giving good information, because if you don't, I'll definitely call you out. Absolutely do it for your area if you can. And then he contacted me like 2 weeks later. Was like, man, this shit is hard. Like I can't get results from people. It's so difficult. So I really wish that there was a way. I wish there was a way for people to more easily get event results. I wish the Digimon or the Bandai TCG app like published results in a more readable way, where you could see like the breakdown of like event results, and then you force everybody to actually register decks using the app. That way you can actually take a look at decks. I think that would be so much easier and such a big win for everybody. So yeah, I don't think I would want to do that, just because, look, I already have not so much time as it is, and I'm kind of like pushing, doing YouTube and living life. I'm pushing what little time I have, and the one thing I want to make sure is that I don't neglect my relationships with my friends and like my family. So you're probably not. Do you think the meta is like totally centered around Numemon and countering, as I see a lot of good decks are able to get around the on deletion effect or protect from its aggression? Atlas Kim. So I think the game is in a really nice spot. I would say that Numemon might not be my focal point. I think that if I had to say a deck that the game revolves around, it'd probably be Magnamon. Magnamon is kind of like this unyielding card where he's kind of a line in the sand. If you don't have anything that can get over 15k, or you don't have a way to bypass blocker, then you don't really have a way to play the game. But yeah, a lot of the decks in the game are able to like skirt or like fight against Numemon. But I think that also as a byproduct, they also have to fight against Magnamon. Ancient Garurumon, for example, ignores blocker and they can bounce cards, which is great for being able to go straight for security. If your opponent does have a huge blocker, 15k, untouchable by effects in the way, but I guess also it does help out if you're fighting Numemon, who thrives on deletion effects. So yeah, I think that maybe we don't agree on what the keystone is not the right word. I used this in the previous video, but I don't think it's the sun, like that the rest of the game revolves around. But maybe it's different in your area, who knows? Did they announce that there will be a restriction list yet? Not to my knowledge, I don't think so. I don't know what they would restrict. Yeah, I think a lot of folks don't like Magna, but I don't think he's the problem. Very quickly, it seems like even taking a look at the events that are happening now, and even in BT17, Magna was strong, but he was not the end-all be-all of the game. And so I think that when you'd have a situation where other decks can actually fight, unlike something like, for example, I don't know, Apocalypse, where turn 3, you had like 18 cards milled out of your deck and you were gonna die in like the next 2 turns. But yeah, I think let's wrap up the actual segment for AMA there. I appreciate you guys' questions, and all the folks who actually gave questions before this when I made the community post, I do appreciate you folks as well. Maybe we'll do it again in, I don't know, like 6 months or so. I think it's a pretty fun, I don't know, it's sometimes cool, kind of cool to like just take whatever question at me and kind of see what happens. I think that's pretty fun. Anyways, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.